Welcome to Vice and Easy, your podcast for all things Miami Vice, with your host, Marina. Hello and welcome back to Vice and Easy. We have a very interesting episode this week. We have a very dialogue-heavy episode. I have 31 clips that I've edited. For your sake and for my sake, let's hope that we don't use all 31, because we don't have the time for that. But this actually was a much better episode than I expected going into it. Not one of the best, but let's get through it. This is Season 3, Episode 23, entitled Everybody's in Showbiz. Per IMDb, while undercover, Tubbs and a powerful drug dealer are robbed and taken in the process as a briefcase. Now the two brothers are marked for death by the drug lord. Let's open up this episode with a nice, sexy nighttime cold open. Crockett looking amazing in this gray beige sport coat on wearing all black. He looks like $1 million, and I love this on him. I really like the colors that we've seen him in, especially in Season 3. You know, we've had a lot of transitions from pastels to brighter jewel tones, but he looks so good in all black. Well, I wouldn't say all black, but black with like a little pop of a neutral. But Don Nelson, you're really killing it this episode, and we've barely even started. So what's going on? Crockett is doing some surveillance. He's sitting in the Testarossa, naturally, very inconspicuously, with his earpiece in, listening, while Tubbs is laying it on thick with this drug lord in his limo. First clip.
No, que me guayaba con galletas.
Man, that's a little over the top, Rico.
You want to just stop and eat?
Why not?
I mean, because if you bring crackers in here, you're not going to be able to get those crackers out of the carpet.
Oh, that's like such a forced laugh, but I get it. Tubbs is playing a role. So it's at this time we see two men, I want to say in around their 20s and 30s, kind of looking a little bit shifty. Would I say they're Utes?
The two Utes.
I'd clarify them as two Utes, and especially in this respect because they are up to no good. They look really shifty, and from afar, their faces look kind of weird and obscured. Then, once they surprise Tubbs and this drug lord in the limo, they have prosthetics on. They basically have like a fancy version of the Groucho Marx mask. Clear, so it's translucent, so it, like, you know, at least again, like, it doesn't look like a mask, but it looks kind of goofy. Like, sorry, I don't know if I'd laugh, but I'm like a little hard to be taken seriously. So again, they are in it, they have guns, they are ready to go. They rob the drug lord of his money, but then when they go after the briefcase, the drug lord gets really possessive. It's kind of weird. Like, you're just handing over this money, but this case, no. This case, he's ready to die for us. They don't take it. However, in the end, he even says, you know, like, shoot me for it. They end up taking the case, run to the car, and Crockett gets out, like, all perplexed. But he can't break the cover, and he can't break Tubbs's cover. So Tubbs gets out of the limo, kind of bewildered, like, what's going on, but, like, has to play it cool. While Crockett is also looking around, like, what's going on? It's funny that the drug lord just, like, ditches Tubbs. It just takes him and his driver get out and just ditch him. I'm like, I get it. Deal gone bad. I don't know if I'd want to personally do business with this guy if this is what's happening. You know, either way, Tubbs as Cooper or this other drug lord, both of them are going to be a little bit suspicious that they got fleeced while meeting with each other for the first time. Then, after the cold open, we are at the precinct, where my first note is, who's smoking the cigar? Who's the guy in the Hawaiian shirt smoking a cigar? Trudy and Gina looking like $1 million. Trudy is wearing a black dress with the shoulders open, with a pink belt, with a pink cuff. And then Gina's wearing like a long blouse tunic, also with a belt. And they're both, their waists are so tiny. They look so good in this episode. Oh, just right off this bat, this episode is just full of beautiful fashion. I love it. And yeah, they're just like debriefing. Like, wait, this guy was considering dying before giving up this briefcase. What could have been in there? Why would they target a crack dealer? Like, this is very interesting. So they took the money first, and then it was the briefcase. Like, it's not adding up. So Gina and Trudy, once they hear about the mass, they're on to find out like who would have provided like the prosthetic makeup and the mask that would have been of that caliber that the guys were wearing. So they go to a costume prop shop where we got some good gifs of Gina being terrified right off the bat as she walks in the door and accidentally bumps her shoulder into like a puppet. I don't want to say puppet. I want to say ventriloquist dummy. Yes, that is it looks like one of those, like very spooky. And then I made another great gif when they go ask the business owner. They're like, oh, we'd like to have like a list of, who's come in recently to buy in makeup since they called ahead. So he gives them the list and then his hand falls off because it's a fake hand. And Trudy gets so scared and Gina's laughing. It's just such a funny, wholesome scene. As they're going through the list, they're like, okay, this is basically the entire state of Florida. Can we narrow it down a little bit, like Coconut Grove, maybe even just like Miami Metro, just, make it a little bit easier so it's not a complete wild goose chase. Now our crack dealer, who is quite handsome, quite well dressed. In this scene that we see him right after getting robbed, he is wearing a black turtleneck with a beautiful dark gray striped blazer, which I want to say I've seen before. I saw another like Kingpin in Miami wear this blazer because it looks very familiar. They're going to go watch a play, but the way they word it makes it sound a little suspicious in this next clip.
That's why Reese and his friends are with us, Didn't you know? They're the new theater critics for the Miami Sun.
Congratulations, Ruiz. I didn't know he could write.
No? The men who took my case were wearing theatrical makeup. If I don't get that case back, you're out of a job, buddy.
Ooh, the spooky score at the end. I like it. What's going on? Now, I will point out there's a lot of Michael Mann casting in this episode. But do you recognize the driver, the limo driver? That is the same diplomat from Rites of Passage. Now, speaking of the theater, we are going to a very small makeshift community theater, which I love to see. Furthermore, my notes are just like all exclamation points because the theater is called Mi Vida Loca. I was like, wait, the movie that was based in LA, Mi Vida Loca, that was 1983. So this was Mi Vida Loca before the movie. This is super cool. Now, again, Michael Mann casting. This is another Michael Mann casting. Mikey is actually Mark Carmine. Rest in peace. He was in, not The Home Invaders. Oh my God. This is so embarrassing. Hold on. Nobody Lives Forever. Oh, I always get those two crossed up. Home Invaders is with Isai Morales. Duh. Now, he's giving quite an impassioned monologue that I'm really enjoying. However, it will not be the only monologue of this episode. But you can tell that this guy has a lot of talent and a lot of spirit. Crockett goes to theater to check in with him. Surprise, surprise, he's an ex-con. But I definitely want to include as much of his monologues without dragging the episode on too much as I can, because I think he brings up some really interesting points, like this next one.
Act up that his heart gagged. Before that, he said, film is the language of the illiterate. Right idea, wrong meeting. You see, film belongs to the dilettante children of millionaires. Theater is the language of the illiterate. This is the first chance you get at social expression that won't land yourself in the joint. That, homeboys, is a feeling you ain't had before.
And I really do like that message that he has created this space for people to showcase their feelings and their emotions and to express themselves, like you said, without fear of being put in the joint. And theater is very important, and it really is such a beautiful art form, and it's completely different than any other act of self-expression, and it's very special. And I really like this episode because of it. Not to be like, I was a theater kid, but like obviously I acted in high school. And I was like, oh wow, that just kind of like takes you back to like that special moment and those bonds that you make. And just like the way to just break out of your shell, that it's really hard to replicate. So I really enjoyed this aspect of the episode first. And you might notice a very familiar face. Do you see babyface Benicio Del Toro? Like extra baby-faced, super lanky? Yeah. Right? Like you see it in the credits, but it's just nice to see that face. Now, Mikey. Now, if you're saying that's not the same guy from No Bliss Forever, he has grown out his hair. And he's a little bit less tan, a little bit less crazy. However, Crockett is there to get some information. He, unfortunately was able to he knew the ex-con that he helped put away, who was also an incredibly talented theater actor. So he already has a warrant, and it's not going to go well for Mikey.
So what about it, Mikey? What is it, you got a death wish or something?
Hey, not me, man. I'm rehabilitated. Welcome to the ex-con theater of life. Place to come through, when you get cut loose. Work out the stress, understand yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe you want to make me understand why a smart guy like you would want to do something crazy, like ripping off Don Gallego.
Life's a puzzle.
I thought it was a stage.
Yeah, so basically he asked Crockett if Crockett has a warrant. Naturally, Crockett does. And Crockett manhandles him, takes him out, sticks his head in the Testarossa. Mikey takes take a big bite out of it, which I find is hilarious. And kind of exactly what Crockett deserved at that moment. Like, you mess around, you find out. Benecio Del Toro, as his brother, is really freaking out, really wants to make sure he's okay, and just looks like so sultry and handsome in the background. Now, after this, Crockett handcuffs him to a pillar, while Mikey rightfully has a lot to express.
About future, promise and gain. It goes to the air, bringing the fear. What falls on my body is pain. To maintain my frail form, to weather the storm. I respond to your babble in manifest rabble. A junkie, a thief, a mugger I've been. Committed every dumb sin. I murdered.
Now, maybe press back 15 seconds and really listen to what he's saying in that monologue about being a junkie and a thief. It will come back full circle. Spoiler alert. Now, as Benecio Del Toro and one of the guys from Rites of Passage remember when they go see Honey, and it goes like, Sonny, honey, ha 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 ha, and he's super high. That's the guy in the hat behind them as well. And Crockett and Tubbs are basically going through the theater, trying to find out where this briefcase is, see if they can find anything, as Mikey's freaking out even more as he's chained up to the pillar outside. Now, as this is happening, Metro does come to take him away, and the camera pans to the Southern Drama Desk Award 1984 in the Mi Vida Loca theater. So that was a little bit poignant and sad to point out, but it definitely is part of it. Now, Crockett seems to only have 2 outfits this episode. So remember how I talked about how he looked really good in that gray beige sport coat, and all black. And then now he's wearing royal blue. He's definitely worn this royal blue sport jacket before with yellow, but it's a great color pop. Tubbs also looks amazing in silver. Now, let's go back to OCB. As Crockett is interrogating Mikey, listing off all his accomplishments and all he's done, Crockett just can't wrap his head around the 180 that this guy has done. And it's a little sad because Crockett put him away, saw him get clean, saw him get sober, even wrote him a thank you letter, and then now putting himself at such risk with this briefcase. But again, Mikey is going to stay true to who he is.
You get tired of the good life?
You don't know my life, man.
You've won every major theater award. 3 years ago, you're earning $20,000 a month.
Yeah, well, I make that much in one night now.
And you all know how much I love to see the softer side of Crockett. And when he really just wants to get through to someone. Now, Castillo wants Crockett and Tubbs to get back on Gallego, the crack dealer. and he wants Switek to go undercover at that Mi Vida Loca theater. Let's hear how he plays that.
Out of Kansas State on an early release. My dad died, and I'm here to work off some stress.
It's so funny because they really don't want anything to do with him until Switek knows how to play the game in this next clip.
Oh, look, man, we can barely keep it together for ourselves. Well, if that's the problem, I got a couple of bucks I can kick in for food. Welcome to Mi Vida Loca, partner.
Oh, well, so we got a little bit of good news there, and then we're getting some bad news. Gallego decides to stop by the theater, and he is not here to play around with the actors. He's definitely not joking. He is definitely the sad, dramatic face. Or, since he kills kids, the very scary one.
That you understand when I say that if I don't get this case back within 24 hours, I will kill the men who took it.
Oh, man, and it's right at that time he takes Mikey's brother, also known as Conejo, or Rabbit, leads him around by the tie, and then after he starts talking, shushes him by putting his finger in his mouth. That's so gross. Oh, man. But where is Mikey? Remember, Mikey is in jail. Well, not anymore. He got bailed out as Tubbs gets the call, lets Crockett know. And guess who bailed him out? Mikey's agent. However, Mikey's agent wants to remind him of the responsibilities that he has. Mikey has a lot of attitude, and the agent has one of the best comebacks I've heard in a long time.
Where you?
It'll come to me.
It's an autobiography, Mikey. It's already come to you.
That just made me laugh so hard because, like, Mikey's trying to be, like, all this rebel, like, nah, I don't have to do this. I don't live in the past. And it's like, yeah, it's an autobiography. It already happened to you. You just have to put it on paper. Oh, man, I don't know why that made me laugh so much. Again, Mikey does not want to hear it, and his agent gives him some tough love.
It'll open up to you. And you spit in his face. It's no longer cool, Mikey. It's pathetic.
Oh, man, I get it. Like, basically, the agent just bailed him out so he could pay back the advance that he blew not writing the autobiography because it hadn't come to him yet. I'm sorry, that's such a funny line. I love that so much.
Where you?
It'll come to me.
It's an autobiography, Mikey. It's already come to you.
Oh, well, again, Mikey has pissed off another person that just wants to help him. But speaking of somebody else that wants to help him, Crockett meets up with Mikey at a park while it's raining. This is actually a very interesting scene. It seems like Crockett is incredibly familiar with Mikey's work, and I wonder if this happened before or after or during when he put him away. But Crockett can recite one of his monologues.
Can't light the potholes in the sidewalk or the traffic jams at night. The hollering and horrors. Silent. Except inside my head. So I go deaf in destitution. Make the floor my bed.
I can lie on the two-lane blacktop, embrace the wheels of chance. One more blast of dying, and my soul will live forever.
It's actually a very touchy scene, but you can definitely tell that Mikey's not handling it well. He doesn't want to listen to reason, he doesn't want to listen to logic, and he doesn't want to listen to anybody that actively wants to help him. Now, Tubbs, going back under as Cooper, is talking to Gallego. However, Gallego is quite firm that he won't be doing anything until the briefcase is back in his possession.
Oh, Cooper, there's only a slight problem. I don't jeopardize myself. I don't jeopardize my people. And until I get that case back, there's no business to be done.
I didn't need to include that clip to, add anything to the plot or character development. I just really like the way that was delivered. You can tell they got some like really great actors, like theatrically trained actors in this episode because I love it. Oh my God, I totally dropped the ball. My notes are at OCB and then a squiggle. Like I go back and I did not go back. So I'm so sorry. I have no idea what happened to OCB, even though I watched the episode 4 times. Now let's go back to Mi Vida Loca Theater. They're testing out the lights. Why? Something's about to happen.
Number 4.
Hey, what are you doing? That's not number 4.
Well, since my baby left me, well, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street, that Heartbreak Hotel. I'll make you so lonely, baby.
What is this? Huh? Who the hell are you, and what are you doing?
Poor Switek. He is not wearing the most flattering outfit. If you ever got that very passive-aggressive comment that, like, maybe white isn't the best color for you because it would, like, quote-unquote make you look chubby. Yeah. Especially the silk, it's not doing him any favors, and he's wearing, like, you know, like a darker look. He's got the mutton chops. Like, it's, he's really going all in on Elvis, and Mikey is just destroying his dream. And then Mikey, something just snaps at Mikey, and he's like, you want to see Elvis? I'll show you Elvis. Takes a bunch of pills and goes on another monologue as one of his actors pretends to be dead on stage.
Mama, I hate this place. They loved me till I got nothing. Mommy.
And you can tell, like, he's physically struggling with this monologue. And we, as the audience, don't know what's real and what's fake. Like, what is he acting? What is he putting on? And then he ends up passing out. And his friends and everyone at the theater and his brother are like, call out for help, to call an ambulance. Cut scene. And then when we come back, Benicio Del Toro is at the door. Crockett is sitting on the bed reading out of a book as Mikey starts to awake. Crockett, once again, tries to talk some sense into Mikey.
Man, how can you be so sensitive and such an idiot about Don Gallego?
Peter, get him his own copy.
Benicio Del Toro, his brother, goes out to get him a copy. When Crockett's looking over there, he can't believe how different it looks from the way Mikey lives.
Look at this. That's so neat, it looks like an altar compared to the rest of this joint.
It is an altar.
He copies everything.
Remember that.
Message!
Oh man, well again, Crockett's not getting anywhere with Mikey. And Kaneo comes in, kind of kicks everybody out and says that he'll talk to Mikey, you know, giving the impression that he'll talk some sense to Mikey. Let's see. My note is that Mikey is stubborn. And then we see Kaneo and Mikey get the briefcase. Mikey takes a piece of paper from the briefcase, sneaks out the window by moving all his books away from the windowsill, and sneaks out the window and, like, rolls onto the ground. And again, back at OCB, Crockett is just reminiscing about who Mikey was. And that, like, yes, he was a bad guy, but he had changed after Crockett busted him. And like I said, he wrote Crockett a thank you card and then wrote a piece about getting clean in the joint. Like, it just doesn't make sense why he would throw all this away.
You find a light in a guy like that, you want to cut through the crap.
Sonny, man. What's a junkie?
Yeah,
Always.
a junkie.
Oh man, and you can definitely see Crockett's heart is open this episode. Now let's go back to Mi Vida Loca. Switek is going through Mikey's stuff. Again, Mikey, remember, has rolled out the window and disappeared. as him and Benicio Del Toro. I don't remember what Benicio Del Toro's character name is. I'm just like, babyface Benicio Del Toro as they're talking. Benicio Del Toro, again, is quite suspicious of spy tech. And they finally get to the bottom of it in this next clip.
Wait. You work for Gallego? If I was working for him, you'd be dead right now. I'm a cop.
You're a cop.
I'm here to help.
Help who?
Help who? Well, I also completely understand Benicio Del Toro's hesitation after seeing Crockett rough up his brother and handcuff him to a pillar as he's freaking out and definitely manhandle him. So understand the suspicion 100%. But speaking of Mikey, who are they helping? Well, Mikey has decided to try to take matters into his own hands and deal with Gallego himself. Decides to meet Gallego kind of right by the water, kind of middle of nowhere-ish. Again, trying to get a little bit more money. Still doesn't really want to give up the briefcase. Gallego doesn't really want to keep playing around with him, shoves him into the water. And as him and his goons leave, this is the spooky score that plays in the background. Now, let me add a little bit more context to the spooky score. Remember, Mikey is definitely effed up on some kind of drug. So he's definitely not in the right mindset. So when we see him get pushed in the water, we don't see him come back up. Furthermore, about a minute before this happens, Gallego is trying to get Mikey to ride in the trunk of his car. Mikey kind of had like a big chip on his shoulder, like, I wouldn't ride in the trunk of nobody's car. Well, it turns out that's not what Gallego wanted to do. Gallego wanted to show him that Conejo's body was in the trunk, and then he killed him. And it's a really sad scene. At first, I thought he spit on him. I'm like, oh my God, you spit on your dead. I was like, okay. He goes, whew, he blew it. And it just seemed like he definitely is not in the right mindset. You could definitely tell that. But yeah, it's sad. Like, you just find out that his best friend got murdered because of the case that they stole, and he's trying to do it, and now Mikey's been pushed in the water, and we have no idea what's going on. Now at OCB, they're pulling an all-nighter, and then finally it starts to click with him. Remember how Mikey makes copies of everything? Well, he has a copy of what was in the briefcase. Remember how he took that piece of paper with him to meet Gallego? Well, he made a copy of it. It turns out that Gallego has receipts for $75,000 payments to a funeral home. As they're kind of putting two and two together, we're like, why would you keep paying $75,000 checks? Why would you keep writing $75,000 checks to a funeral home? They are able to deduce that it's a cover for a crack lab. You know, not really a place where someone would just randomly go check it out. You have the crematorium. You also have cold storage, so they're kind of getting this all together, and that's what was in the briefcase. At OCB, when they discover it, Tubbs looking very handsome in a silver tie. Castillo says he'll call it in and try to get a warrant for the funeral home. While Crockett and Tubbs go on a little early morning drive, they park suspiciously close to where Mikey was last seen. And these two girls boating around in bikinis start screaming. Mikey's body has washed up on a boat that's been docked. Crockett goes over. He sees the blood. He is able to get a pulse, though. And we do see Mikey getting carried out on a stretcher with an oxygen mask. But he's not looking great. Now, they go back to the funeral home. Again, remember, Castillo was going to get those warrants. And so, as we've seen Mikey's body, we hear The Leader by Chris de Burgh, a.k.a. the Lady in Red guy. We hear that song playing on in the background, and then they're going to race over to the funeral home. At the funeral home, Gina and Trudy are already there. They have the walkie-talkie. They're keeping their surveillance. Now, before backups got in there, they see smoke coming out of the chimney. They know that something's going down. So all of them, Vice, goes in to try to catch Gallego in the act and try to get the product. as the shootout starts outside, we now get to The Vision by Krista Berg. I don't know what he did this episode to get 3 of his songs on here, but we're on a 2 out of 3. Again, I like the guy, but I just really wanted Lady in Red. It's the only song I know. Now, as the shootout is happening, Gallego can hear it. He's freaking out. He's trying to get rid of his product. He's trying to take the crack, put it into the cardboard coffin that they have, I guess, laying around for stuff. You know, they do got to keep up. Either they use the funeral home or it's an actual operating funeral home, because we do see a corpse in there as well. There is a guy in a cask. So as they're screaming, trying to get the crack burned, it's a little comical. He's telling him to hurry up. And then as 2 of his goons put the crack in the coffin, turn on the incinerator right when Switek, Tubbs, and Crockett are there. Crockett goes to check the other cardboard coffin with Conejo, with his body in the coffin. Now, I do have some funny gifs of people getting shot, and I know that's a little bit tasteless, but the way that, number one, our diplomat from Rites of Passage, the driver in this episode, he dies and he basically just folds over the passenger side door. When Gallego is out on the run, he takes the body and just throws on the floor and gets into the car. And just as he's about to start the car and speed off, Crockett is there.
Don't even twitch, sucker. I'll shoot your ears off. Put your hands on your head. Put them up there.
Okay, I also made a gift of this too, because as I'm looking, Crockett takes his hand and just shoves his face back as he's putting him under arrest. And I get it. It's so comical. He's checking while he has the gun in his hand to see if Gallego is also packing. And it's a little bit comical. Oh my God, too funny. But that is really nice to see that a bad person has been caught under arrest, and they want to go bring that news to Mikey. They go visit him at the hospital. It's a really somber scene as a doctor with a very unfortunate hairline. My God. It really took me out of the scene. I was like, that is such a shame. It's full on the sides and the back. It's just completely bald in the front. It is not even saving. I would just shave my head at that point. I do not even know why he tried. Again, Benecio Del Toro is pleading with him, but it seems like it's time to say goodbye to Mikey.
You know, Mikey started 100 good things, and he screwed up every damn one of them. But it doesn't have to be that way with the theater. Whether it lives or dies is up to y'all.
Oh man, I really do like that. I really do like that Crockett really wants to support what good things Mikey has done. And it's at this time that Crockett and Tubbs are alerted that Mikey would like to see the 2 undercover cops. As they go in, they pass through his room. It's really illuminated beautifully with this peach light. It's very heavenly and celestial. As they walk in, Mikey, once again, it's just hard not to like him, even when he's making dumb decisions, but he really seems like a good guy here.
I don't want to die this way. I came into this world bloody and broke. I swore I'd die with money in my pocket.
Now, Crockett checks his pockets. He doesn't have anything in there. Looks at Tubbs. Tubbs kind of sheepishly goes through his pockets. Has a $100 bill. And again, this is a $100 bill in 1987. This is worth much more than it would be a $100 bill today. You could tell gets a little bit nervous, a little bit uneasy, and hands Crockett the money. Crockett puts the money in Mikey's hand, and it seems like that brings Mikey peace. And we see him close his eyes, seems to go to sleep. Tubbs goes to the nurse and This is exactly what I wrote. I was like, I'd make sure I'd get that money back. As soon as he falls asleep, just like take it back. Goes to the nurse and he's like, hey, can you make sure I can get that back? And as Crockett and Tubbs are driving back in the Testarossa, Tubbs starts reciting one of Mikey's poems. Remember the poem I told you to remember when he was locked up at the pillar about being a junkie, a thief, and all that? Tubbs is reciting it, and it all clicks in Crockett. Crockett makes a U-turn, speeds back to the hospital. However, when they get back to the hospital, Mikey's not there. And, like, your heart just sinks. You're like, wow, did he already pass in, like, that short time? Absolutely not. Guess, again, who is such an amazing, brilliant actor, who I do not know why any of them would underestimate him. What he did, he got up, went to the pharmacy, stole drugs, and left. Now, the doctor is trying to put this together. However, Crockett and Tubbs know what's really going on.
How far can you get? Nearly dead? No money?
And Crockett and Tubbs kind of look at each other, smile a little bit, know what's going on. And it is nice to have a freeze frame that shows Crockett laughing as they point to the pharmacy, because they know exactly what Mikey's been up to. And again, Mikey can't go that far because he has $100. Again, like I always say, con artists, take your money with a smile. You don't know that you're being conned. Con man stands for confidence man. And that's exactly what Mikey is. Unfortunately, in real life, may he rest in peace. Now, I did realize before we get to music, I didn't play two of the songs. You heard What About Me by Krista Berg as they were seeing Mike in the hospital. But I forgot to play clip number one, or song number one, The Leader.
Oh, the message is clear that the time is near for a leader to come again.
Interesting, and I do think that was a good thematic choice because of how much of a leader that Mikey was. And it was at this time we didn't know if Mikey would live or die. But he is still going on strong, and he is still going to grift when he can grift. Now, song number two is The Vision by Krista Berg. I don't know if I could get a long clip of this because of it was occurring during the shootout, so we shall see. Oh, well, I guess I'm not really jazzed on any of the songs, but I do like The Leader, and I do like what thematic message it did have with what a special role that Mikey did play in these people's lives. And like Crockett said, Mikey may have messed up a lot of things, but he did something really good with the theater, and that's the legacy that should continue on. You know, he's a brilliant genius, and he's also nuts, and he's also a self-saboteur, but who among us? Now, let's get to fashion. Now, I said it before and I'll say it again. I am loving Crockett in black with that beige gray sport coat. I just think he looks like $1,000,000. He is obviously my best dressed of the episode. Best dressed woman is definitely going to be Gina and Trudy, both looking like $1,000,000 with those tiny waists. Now, it was a little hard because I didn't really see like a lot of decor that really sparked my heart, maybe because we didn't get to see much of Gallego's house. And, you know, the Mi Vida Loca theater was cool and great and everything, but just, you know, there weren't enough glass blocks. There were, obviously, I almost forgot to say, best exterior will be the, I don't want to say it's a jail, but it's wherever, when Mikey's getting bailed out and you just see all the beautiful glass blocks in this white building, that's definitely my choice for decor. But I think I already sent my gallery through, so it might not be on there in the gallery. But real ones, aka my favorite listeners and subscribers, will know what I'm talking about. And I really wanted to give best hair to Mikey, but I don't know. There's so many good hairstyles, and I really liked how Gallego was dressed as well. This was, even though it was a different world that we were in, because the majority of the world was not full of like the, cocaine glamour and access that you've seen in a lot of these other episodes. It was working class. So it's just different. But I did like all the colors that the actors were wearing. The different shades of teal and turquoise, I really enjoyed. Like, you can just see that definitely on Benicio Del Toro versus Conejo. You can just tell, like, those shades of green, they really work for them. Recently I did a color analysis where it basically analyzes your hair, your skin tone, your eyes, and it tells you what colors really work for you, whether it be makeup or whether it be clothes. And so I'm like, oh, now it's kind of inspiring me to, like, look at different shades, not even just the same color, but the different shade of color that might work well on you, might work well on someone else. And just to kind of, like really feel in your element and like really dress confidently. So I thought that was a little interesting. Maybe that's kind of like clouded my judgment this episode. Then I think it's of no surprise what my quote of the week is going to be.
Will you?
It'll come to me.
It's an autobiography, Mikey. It's already come to you.
Oh my God, that's just so clever. And the delivery is just like so cutting. I love it. Now, I don't have as much Vice tea as I thought I would. Benicio Del Toro, I was like, oh, I remember the story of him and Scarlett Johansson in the elevator, which apparently is fake, but I still kind of believe it. I also learned that he was an extra in Madonna's La Isla Bonita video. Even furthermore, I always remember the story of him having a baby with Kimberly Stewart, a.k.a. Rod Stewart's daughter, of all people. Very interesting. I wish he had a little bit more gossip, but, maybe I've just missed out on it. Maybe it's just completely gone over my head. And then the sad gossip I do have is that Mikey, who, again, was already on Miami Vice before and seems like he really had a lot of talent. Fortunately, he died not too long after of AIDS, unfortunately. And then we do have some Michael Mann casting. So Coti Mundi was Conejo. And then we have the limo driver, who they call Paco. I don't remember ever hearing his name. But that is Mario Ernesto Sanchez, and he was also the diplomat in Rites of Passage. And again, Mikey was also in Nobody Lives Forever. So I thought that was really interesting. And then Paul Calderone, who played Gallego, looked a little bit familiar. And one of his credits was King of New York. I'm like, I got to see that movie. That has been on my list for like 2 months. So that'll be my homework this week. And it's with that I want to say thank you all for listening to this episode of Vice and Easy. We are almost at the end of season 3. Wow, what a ride it's been so far. And it feels so weird to end season 3. Well, not almost. But yeah, we're almost made it. We're almost through the series. We have watched more episodes. We've watched over half of Miami Vice already together. So what's another 2 seasons? So I want to thank you all for joining me. Don't forget, you can like, you can subscribe, and you can always leave me a lovely 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Find me on all things social media at Vice and Easy Podcast. And I'll see you next time. And thank you again for listening, as always. As always.
Hey, man, Miami Vice is #1 new show.